see how many people we have. Okay, we have a couple people so far. Yeah, we'll just wait until 5 p.m. 5:05 until we officially begin the lesson today. Yeah, but like I'm happy to see that we've been making pretty good progress lately, right? We've already covered like a bunch of topics, and for many beginners who have just started, who haven't had absolutely no background in coding, where this is their first experience, it's honestly really impressive that, and especially considering lots of you guys aren't that old, right? Like still in, I'd assume between elementary school and junior high age. I think it's quite impressive that you guys are, uh, you know, so motivated to learn, and you guys been learning so well. So I just wanted to throw that out there before we officially start because I really do think that each and every one of you, no matter how many like hurdles you have to overcome within these classes, right? That you guys will continue to this will continue to be a part of your life, even if you don't pursue computer science or software engineering as a field. Because really the truth is that as society progresses and as technology makes life even more convenient, it's oh sorry, am I really quiet right now? Let me change my microphone settings. All right, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Is it good now? Let me try adjusting it again. Okay, can you hear me? If you can't hear me, just type it in the chat, right? Okay, I'll just talk for no reason now. Okay, so I'm talk. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, please type in the chat now. I just tried adjusting my microphone. Can you hear right now? Can you hear right now? Let me see my microphone. Can you hear me? Okay, it's good now? Alright, that's great. Yeah, so if you didn't hear what I said before, I just wanted to say, how proud I am of you guys, right? Because you guys have been making really great progress recently. And for many of you guys who have just not had any prior experience in coding or any of this, it's really impressive how guys have been able to, stay motivated and continue learning because really, that's what it all boils down to. If you really want to see results, you have to stay motivated, right? And at least, practice coding 1 to 2 times a week, right? When you're starting out, obviously, the more you do something, the better you get at it, right? But yeah, really, especially at like a young age, it's really it's really impressive to see you guys so motivated to learn this. And whether or not you go into the field that utilizes computer science, I hope that what you'll be able to take away from these lessons is that sorry I hope that whatever you take away from these lessons is applicable and you'll be able to use it in the future. Not I don't want you guys to just learn the information and then not use it in any real given scenario because that just defeats the purpose of it's on slow-mo. Oh, you mean the chat is on slow-mo? Okay, yeah. If I'm in slow-mo, like if I'm talking really slowly, let me know because I don't think that's normal. But yeah, no matter regardless what kind of field you guys go into, I hope that you'll be able to maybe use some of the topics I have introduced you guys to and taught you guys. But yeah, I guess that's the whole spiel I want to get rid of before the lesson because I really am quite proud of all of you. Even if I can't see your faces, I can sense the motivation and I can sense the what is it? vocabulary, small brain. I can sense the strides you guys have been making towards this. Um, so yeah, I guess now that I'm done, congratulating you guys for being such great students, I think we'll get into the lesson right now. There might be a few people starting to come in later, but that's okay. I'll just give a brief rundown of what we did last time. So, if you remember last time, what we did was we were working on loops. And I'll type in a loop right here for you. And so what we learned about loops is that inside of loops we have variables. And these variables essentially count the number of times we repeat a loop. And the number of times we repeat the loop is actually measured by by a condition. And so this condition, essentially what it does is tells it, okay, so as long as this condition is met, we're going to continue this loop. But if the condition is not met and it's false, well, in that case, then the code the loop will stop and it will go on to the next piece of code. So I'll show you right now what we did last time. So I'll say, well, okay. And alright, so as you can see here, I've defined the loop by using the for keyword, and then inside these brackets right here, these the normal braces right here, I have created a variable called I, and I've set its value to 1. This is really important because this variable I is going to control the entire loop. Basically, the value of I, and as long as I is smaller than or equal to 10, the loop will run. So at any point where like I becomes 11, which is larger than 10, it's going to stop. And so, as we talked about before, your variable I doesn't have to be worth, it doesn't have to be 1. It could also be, any value you really wanted to be. Say I wanted to get the user input. So I would import the scanner class, right? Create a scanner object and then create a variable which would take in the user input, and then I could store inside of this variable I right here. And what that would do is that it would allow me to type something over on the console, and then it'd actually be able to assign the variable I that value that I typed in the console, and then it type out. So say if I typed out 5 over here, it type out all the numbers from 5 all the way to 10. Okay. Alright, so that was one of the kinds of loops we learned last time. Another loop we learned was the while loop. And this loop is very similar to the for loop. The difference is that in the while loop, you only have a condition and you don't actually have to define a variable inside the while loop. And so because of that, oh yeah. Wait, what does I++ do again? Yo, okay, yeah, of course. So, what I++ does is that it basically just adds 1 to I. So I'll show you guys here. Yeah, so I have my variable I right here inside of this box. Let's say this is where the variable I lives. And so basically what I++ does is that you take I and then I becomes I plus 1. So we'll have I plus 1. So you basically just add another value to y. So let's say I was equal to 4. Well, in this case, we have 4, and then 4, it turns into 4 plus 1. And what's 4 plus 1? That's 5, right? And so 5 would become the new variable I. It just basically adds 1 to the variable. You can also do here is you don't have to, you can also increment it another way. What you can also do is choose to say I is equal to I plus 1, because that's the same idea. It's just that I plus plus is a bit easier to write. It's not a really big difference though. You can also say I is equal to I plus 2, right, as we went over a couple classes ago. So that's one of the ways you can alter variables. That's a quick refresher. And let's go back to talking about this, well, refreshing on this while loop. Last time we addressed that this while loop only has a condition inside of it. It doesn't actually have to have a variable. Okay, Matthew, yeah, I hope that answered your question. Yeah, so the difference between the for loop and while loop is that the while loop only has a condition. So it operates in the same concept as a loop, where the loop will only run when the condition has been met. The only difference is that you don't have the variable inside of the while loop here. You don't have it inside of these brackets. Instead, you just write the condition. So let's say I created a count variable here, right? And then I said while count is smaller or equal to 10, I wanted to let's say I system dot out dot parent line I, then I is equal to I plus 1 or I plus plus. And so notice how, while I'm using a different loop here, if we read the code line by line, we can see that it actually gives you the same result here as we did with the for loop. And so that's a recurring thing in computer science, is where there's not necessarily only one way to solve a problem. Rather, there are actually multiple ways, and lots of the time each way has its own perk. Yeah, and so with each of these ways, there's, for instance, like a plethora of situations where you can choose to use a while loop or for loop. Yeah, so it doesn't matter here what loop you choose to use, as long as you get the same output. And so we can see that here, this will give us the same input. It will still print out the oh, my bad, this should be count. Yeah, sorry, I'm still in the mindset of using a for loop. But yeah, just switch this, because we didn't actually define count. We didn't actually define I, so it's going to give us an error. But yeah, this will still print out the numbers from 1 to 10 in the same way. So as you can see here, I'll just show side-by-side comparison with the for loop. 1 to 10. And as you can see, it will also print out the numbers 1 from 10. So it just goes to show how you can use multiple methods to get the same desired result. In a way, life is kind of like that too. You don't always have to follow other people in order to get to the same place. You gotta do it your own way. That was very deep. Philosophical. But anyways, loops are not the main focus today. What our main focus today is on strings. And so you may or may not remember, in the first class, I introduced you guys to the topic of creating variables, right? And we went over creating variables such as strings, which contain text. And we went over integers, which contain whole numbers from a certain value to another certain value. And we also went over doubles, which store decimal values. And so for the most part, we've went over integers and doubles a lot, right? But today we're going to be interacting more with we're going to be interacting more with strings. And so while strings are different in many ways from from integers and doubles, they actually share a lot of similarities in the fact that they all have like different methods you can do to them, right? And you know how we went over integers, right? You can add integers. You can actually do the same with strings too. The only thing is I don't think you can multiply or divide. You can't multiply or divide strings. So what we're going to do right here is we're going to work with our first string method, which is called the substring method. And so recall that in order to create one of these strings, you have to first specify the string keyword before your variable name. This will create your string variable, and then it's very important that you have to have these double quotations in order to put your whatever text you want in between them. All right. Fail to connect, retrying. All right. Let's not worry about that. But first, let's create our string word. And so let's say our word, we'll call it hello world, right? Very simple word. And so, okay, so we have our string right now, but there may arise a situation where, I don't know, I want only to print the first character, the first letter of the word variable. And if we go through here, well, what's the first character? The first character in this string would be H, right? And so there's actually a number of ways we can get this H value. One of the ways we can do this is by one of the ways we can actually print out this H character is by using the substring method. And so I'll show you guys right now and explain what it does. So I'll create a new string H, I'll call it string holder is equal to word dot substring 0 1. Now you might be thinking, Sean, why do you have a 0 and 1 between these brackets right here? Well, the reason why is because I'm pointing to this the 0th character in this string. And so something a bit uncommon is, well, not uncommon, but weird from what you guys may normally think, is that H is actually not the first letter. It's actually the 0th letter, and the reason why it's the 0th letter has to do with the way the memory is stored, how the word is stored in memory, right? And so essentially this is not the first character. Instead, E is actually the first character. And so what this substring method is doing, that it's going to print out all of the characters between the first number and the second number. So if we look at this word variable and we remember, okay, so this H is not actually 1, it's actually 0. So we're starting at 0 and then we're going to end at 1. This is really important to remember. This first number right here shows you what character you start at in the string, and then this one tells you what character you end at. Yeah, 0 is first. This is the same in a lot of data structures. We'll get into that later though. First, we'll just focus on the string. And so we'll look at this string word, and then we'll take the 0th character. We'll start here and then add at the first. So we end at E. So then we only print H. So what we'll do right now is then we'll print out our variable holder, which is basically that H. And as you can see here, it gives us this first character. And now we can extend this even farther. And what we can do is we can print instead of printing H, we can just print hello. And what we'll do to do that is we'll start at 0. We'll go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Because 4 is the last character we want to print out, we'll just do 4 plus 1. And then 4 plus 1 is 5. So this will give us the word hello. And as you can see, we have hello. And similarly, we can also do this with world too. All we have to do is, let's get rid of this. We don't need that for statement. What we can do is we can start at this. And right here, this is the 6th. This is the 6th character in the string word. So let's go to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And so And so if we want to print start at a certain character and then print all the way to the end, we don't actually have to put in two values. In this case, we can just put in one, because in this method called substring, if you only input one number, right? If you only if you just input the integer 6, what it'll do is that it'll look at the sixth character, okay, and it sees that it's W, and it will print. Well, no, it'll just it'll contain it'll what is it? Look at all of these characters, all the way from the letter 6, all the way from the sixth one to the end. And so it will substring all of those and put it in the word holder, or the string holder, my bad. Right? And so if we do this, it'll just print out world instead of just W. Okay, and so right now I'm going to give you guys 1 or 2 minutes, and I encourage you guys to play around with this substring method. Try creating your own strings and then printing out just certain parts of it. Okay, just print out, and I want you guys to just print out. So say I have, I'll actually give you guys a problem right now. Say I have the string Sunday. I want you guys to only print out sun, right? And I want you guys to use the substring method to do so. Alright? So I'll give you guys a minute or two to try that out. Try printing out sun, right? Just print out sun from the word Sunday using the substring method. Right? And see if you can navigate the string and print out the correct characters. Alright? So I'll give everyone a little bit of time to do that, and once you're done, let me know by typing done in the chat. Alright, and so once you guys are finished using the substring method to print out Sunday, just let me know in the chat, okay? So if you guys are having a bit of trouble with this, I'll give you guys a small hint. So that when you want to use, so once you create your variable, right? In our case, we use word. We want to use this method, the substring method, and we'll call it like this. You need to have this period right here, this dot, in order to call it. And then we have these colon, these brackets. Then inside we'll put in specific numbers that will allow us to print from here all the way to here, which will give us sun. Oh wow, we have a cat. Wow, so awesome. Nice, nice. I like the cat. Alright, but yeah, so just when we're printing this specific part of the string, we would need to know the specific what character each part is. So we need to know how to print from the 0th character to say the 5th, 6th, 7th in order to print out a certain part of the string. Okay, and so I haven't seen anything in the chat yet, but I'll just show you guys how I would do it. Okay, so you take your word.substring, and then since you want to print all the way to n, you need to find out what character n is, right? So we go to the 0th, 1st, 2nd, right? So we want to print out from 1 to 2. But remember, if we print out 1 from 2, 0 from 2, my bad. If we only print out 0 from 2, then it'll only give us SU because it tells us that we omit this one, right? The second one. So we actually make it the third one. So that will stop at D. Oh, we have 2 of these semicolons. Yeah, that's not going to work for sure. And so as you can see, it gives us sun. And then similarly, I can also do that with the word day too. Alright, we got one person done. Excellent. So now I'll show you guys how to do. You can also do the same with day. You'll just start at 4. Or no, you'll start at 3. Yeah. And you'll just, since day is like the final word, there's nothing like, if we have this, then we can't just put 3, right? Because then it's going to print starting from 3, everything over here. But because day, y, the last letter of day is technically at the end of the string, we can just print out everything from 3 to the end. And so it'll give us something like this. And then similarly, you can also use another method called the length method. And so we know that there's a certain number of characters inside of a string, right? Well, the length method, what it does is it returns us the length of that string. So basically how many characters are in that. So if we want to print out to the end from a certain character to the end of the string, we can also put in that number we want to start at and then print out all the way to the end by looking at our word. And then we're saying we want it to print all the way from from the third character all the way to the length of it. And so what I'll do is it will go from 3 all the way to the end. And in this case, it will print out day because it will start at 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, and go all the way to the end, which is the length. This is length, yeah. Alright, so we can also do something else, right? What we can also do is we can use a loop on a string. And so what I'm going to do now is that, you know, sometimes how on the internet you're scrolling around and then you see I'll create a variable here. You see a word, right? And so like all of the letters in that word are all like alternating in like uppercase, lowercase, and normally it's what it's used for is to mock someone, right? You want to make them look stupid. It's like being sarcastic, but through text, which is weird because I don't know how you're able to convey that sense of sarcasm, but in a way you kind of do, right? But so what they do is that it's all alternating, right? So what we're going to do right now is we're going to write a program that lets us insert a word, and then what it does to that word is that it basically makes it so that starting at the first character, it makes all the characters in that word alternating between lowercase and uppercase. And so, but in order to change a character to uppercase, we have to know this method, which is called the toUppercase method. So as you can see right here in our string word, we have Sunday, right? But most of these characters, if not all of them, except for S, are all lowercase. And let's say we want to turn them all uppercase. Then what we want to do is we'll say word is equal to word dot to uppercase. Right? And so recall how in the loop, or like when we wanted to update our variable, for instance, when we want to update our variable I, we wanted to add 1 to it. Well, in this case, we're not adding integer value to our string. What we're doing is we're turning our string, or our word here, our string word, uppercase. We're making all of these uppercase. And so then word will now be all uppercase. And so if I print out word, instead of seeing this, you'll see Sunday in all uppercase. substring word is, oh, here, yeah, get rid of that line. And see, now instead of saying Sunday, you'll see Sunday. We're still printing out word, but we just made the word all uppercase with this line here. Okay, but now you can also do the same and just turn everything to lowercase too. So I'll do that right now. You just replace upper with lower and it'll just make the word lowercase, all lowercase. So now this S is now a lowercase, right? So how do we make it so that it alternates between uppercase and lowercase? Well, we can do that with a loop. So what we'll do right here is create our loop and start at I, 0. And well, we have to first contemplate how we're going to do this, right? How we're going to communicate to the computer that we want to make everything upper and alternate between upper and lowercase. So let's start with our word here. We have the word Sunday, let's say in all lower cases, right? Well, if we wanted to manually make the word Sunday alternate, well then we'd have to say, okay, we want to make S. We want to make S right here. Let's say we want to start at uppercase and then lowercase, uppercase, lowercase, uppercase. Well, then we want to start at S, which is the 0th character of string. And so then we'd want to say, okay, let's start at word.substring 0, 1, because we want to specifically only change one of these letters, and we want to make this uppercase. We'll say word.substring 0, comma 1. Dot 2 uppercase. That would essentially change this S to an uppercase. And so we could do this manually, right? And then do the same here. Change this to 1 and 0. And we could also change this N to 2 and 3, right? But that would take a long time, right? And we'd only be able to do it with the word Sunday. We couldn't do it with like a word which is longer or shorter, which is why we got to use a loop. And so recall how we have sorry, let me just create my word again because now it's gone. Recall how we had the dot length method, right? And the dot length method gives us the value of this word, like basically how many characters are in this word, right? And so we can kind of use this to our advantage. We can declare a loop, and as long as we don't go over here, right, over out of sight of this word, then it's okay. And so while we're gonna do that, we're gonna use a loop and then use the loop to alternate between the uppercase and lowercase. I'll show you guys right now. Okay. Plus. And so what we'll do right now is we're also going to use the substring method. And so with the substring method, we'll be able to look at the substring here and then turn it into uppercase. So we'll say, we'll create a new word which is called result. And it will be an empty string because we're going to add stuff to it. So we'll say, let's say result plus word dot subs. You can also use multiple methods in a single line too. I plus 1, and we're going to say dot 2 uppercase. There. And so what this will do is that it will go through here, and then for every iteration of the loop, right, I starts at 0, it's going to substring the ith character. So because we're starting at 0, and as long as I is smaller than word.length, it'll go through every single character and it will make it uppercase. But we don't want that. We want to alternate between uppercase and lowercase. So what we can do is we can also create an if statement right here to control this, and we'll say that if the word is 0 or it's like an even number, well then we'll make it uppercase. But if it's not, then we'll make it a lowercase. So to test if a number is even or odd, we can use this. We talked about this math symbol in our first class, and what this does is that it's called a modular division. And when we use this, it will, instead of regular division, how regular division, if we tried doing, say, 5 divided by 2, in Java, it will give us 2. It wouldn't give us 2.5, right? Because it's only, if it's an integer, if we don't specify that we want a decimal value, it will give us an integer value because we're assuming our variable before 5 was an integer and it wants us to also get an integer back, right? But with modular division, it's not quite like that. If we do 5 modular divided by 2, right here, we would get 1, and it would give us the remainder of this math statement. It would give us the remainder of 5 divided by 2, right? So we'll say so a good way to test it, right? We know that even numbers are divisible by 2. So we'll say that if I modular divided by 2 is equal to 0, well then we know it's an even number. And then we'll know to make sure to change it to uppercase. But else, right, in our else, if it's not divisible by 2, well then it's an odd number, right? So if it's not even, it's odd. And in that case, we'll say that our result is equal to result plus word. Let's see if we have any questions here, right? So remember, if you have any questions at any time throughout, just let me know and I'll be able to answer it if you have any confusions. So word dot substring I plus 1 dot 2 lower case. Let me just open this up so now it's all on one line, right? And so let's just go through this code and we'll just print out our result at the very end. Now let's start at the line 6. So we've created, this doesn't matter. Well, actually, no, it does matter because we're going to make Sunday alternate between uppercase and lowercase, right? And so in our 8th line, we have our loop. So we tell the loop to start at 0, and that through every iteration of the loop, we go to the next character and we'll look to see if the character is an even or odd character, right? So since U is the first character, not the second character, right? S is the 0th character, and then U is the first character. So since it's the first character, we're going to see if it's divisible by 2. So is 1 divisible by 2? It doesn't give you 0. So it'll return, go here and say else is equal to result plus substring I plus 1. And so this line right here is basically saying that, okay, we're going to take the letter, and we see that it's not even, right? So we just take this letter, and because we're only substringing I, so from here to here, it's only going to take in this letter, and it's going to make it lowercase. Now let's run it. And so what you'll see here is that it's actually going to give you an error, and this is due to, oh no, it didn't give you an error. Yeah, I was assuming that because like in some data structures, you have to do I minus 1 because there's in certain circumstances where you can get an out of bounds exception error. And so basically that's when you create a word, right? So say we have Sunday, or I'll just do sun, and then you wanted to have I plus 1, and then I was already equal to the length. If you did length plus 1, well then the computer gives you an error because there is no such thing as I plus 1, right? There's nothing outside of length. So length is the end of the string. But as you can see here, it gave you the word Sunday. And now if we switch this word up, let's say we gave it Wednesday, it will also return to us a similar string where they're all alternated. See, I know, let's try using longer word. So we'll say really, really, really long word. And as you can see, it alternates between capital and lowercase. So if you ever want to insult someone on the internet, well, you're welcome. We just made this program which will essentially take that whatever phrase you wanted, and then you can mock them with their same phrase, because now we've just alternated the characters. And so yeah, it's very simple, but it's still, regardless, it's an accomplishment, it's a feat, right? We're still using computer science to our advantage. Ruth, my internet is my internet sorry, not internet. My internet is being laggy and I can't even output any commands. Okay. So if you're not getting anything over here, because this IDE, because REPL is cloud-based, what I would recommend you do, Ruth, is that you download a code editor like VS Code, or because we're using Java, use Eclipse to write your code. That way you won't have to worry about like your internet connectivity when running your code. Well, you're welcome, S. Yeah. So basically today, if you could take anything away, now we know how to insult people on the internet. And we don't even have to do any work. All we have to do is write this code, and we can we can now alternate it and make people, we can bend reality to however we want. Alright? Alright, so we've did this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new repo right now. Well, not a new repo. I'm going to copy and paste this code, right? Oh crap. Let's go Control Z. Yeah, sorry. I got a smaller keyboard, so I'm accidentally pressed the FN button, not the control button. So I'm going to get rid of this part, this code. And now we're going to move on to our next method. And so we've already checked off of our list the substring method, the length method, and the two uppercase and two lowercase methods. And so we went over that the substring basically looks at a particular part of the string, right? It doesn't look at all characters, although you can make it look at all characters. But for the most part, you're going to use it to look at individual parts of the string, and then you're going to be able to change individual parts of your string a lot easier. Oh, my bad. I meant to click there. Yeah, let's go insulting again. All right, Spectrum. If you're late, no worries. You can look back into the lesson afterwards, and you can follow along by yourself because the stream will be up afterwards. Yeah. All right. So we already went over the substring method, how you can look at individual parts of the string. Then we worked over the length method, which will give you the length of the string. And this is absolutely a vital method if you want to use a loop, because it ensures that you won't go over the boundary of the length of the string, or else, because if you do go over the boundary, it'll give you an error. So this will make sure that your loop doesn't go on and result in your string giving you an error. Okay, next what we're going to do is we're going to use this equals method. And so you may have recalled before, here I'll just give you guys an example. You guys may have recalled before how when we wanted to compare two different integer values or double values, what we would do is we would use this double equal sign, right? And so with primitive data types such as integers and doubles, where the memory is stored a lot differently from a string, where with a string you have to get the address of the memory. So you can kind of picture it as a neighborhood where you're not actually going directly to the house of the string, you're actually getting its address, right? So it's a bit different. You may not understand it at first, and it's not important at first for you guys, since it's like, well, it is important, but not right now for you guys. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. All right, so we use the double equal sign to compare to see if two integer values are equal, right? And so that works with integers, but that's not how it works with strings because of the way the memory is stored for a string. How the string is stored in memory. So if you, as you can see here, I wrote a little if statement to test if I and G are equal, right? And if I and G are equal, we're going to print they are equal. And as you can see here, since I and G are both equal to 0, it goes here, looks at the if statement, compares them. Okay, so this is true. Let's go and print out this code statement between these brackets. And it'll print out they are equal. But what if these were not integers? What if I and G were actually strings, right? What if they contain words in them? So that's what we're going to test out right now. So let's say I was equal to hello, and then G was equal to goodbye. Let's try this out. Right, this will give you an error. This will give you an error here. You cannot use the double equal sign for this. Run. Hold on, what? What the heck? They do this now? Alright, okay, I wasn't aware of this, right? Yeah, I was taught, well, I don't know if this is something new, but I was taught that to use the dot equals method, but I guess I'll show you guys it anyway. So if you want to compare a string, you can do this. So you can use this method to also compare too. It also works. And so they are equal. So you can use the dot equals method or the equals method, whatever you choose. Oh, I'm lagging. How do I put the emojis down? Hope it's lagging me out. Oh, let's see, Matthew. Let's see what's working. Oh, Matthew, is it like a error with the code, or is it just like a lag issue? If it's a lag issue, I'm afraid I can't help you with that. But if it's related to code, I can definitely. Okay, I'm from Spectrum. Spectrum says, hey, I also like your calm waves piece. It's really good. How did you write it? Oh yeah, I just used the. So you have to know music theory in order to compose. I recommend you buy a couple music theory books, take the RCM's harmony course, and then practice fooling around on whatever instrument, making up some tunes, and then that will do you plentiful, and then you'll be able to make short concise ideas, and then as you start to grow, you'll be able to make that bloom into full pieces. All right, but that's really off topic right now since we're doing code, we're coding right now, not music. Oh, it's like in the chat. You can't put emojis? Alright, well, don't worry about putting emojis. If you need to talk to me, I know how to read English, so it's okay. Yo, your code is not working, Spectrum. Alright, could you copy and paste your code into the chat, please? Oh, Anthony, yeah, if you want to hear my music, then yeah, I'll plug in my YouTube at the end of the lesson, but for now, I just want to teach you guys how to code. Yeah, so yeah, Spectrum, if you could just type your code into the chat, type your code into the chat, and then I'll be able to go over it with you, okay? It's too big. Can you? Alright, so if you have this, do you have this part in your code? If you do have this part, get rid of it. And so I want you to just print, just type in this amount of code, okay? This block. Hold on, let me call someone over to help you. Heat. We are having trouble right now. Someone needs help. Alright. Although if you copy my code exactly, it shouldn't give you any issues to Spectrum. So what I'll do is I'll copy paste my code in, and then you just use that. Oh, darn it. Alright. And then here. So yeah, just copy. Oh, the password one? Oh, your password code is not working. Well, since we're working on this right now, I can't necessarily help you with that. But what I can do is that after the lesson, I'll go in and I'll just, I'll help you in a Zoom call or something, okay? Yeah, sorry about that. But for now, I'll help you later for sure. Just for now, we'll just go through this, right? And so now we have this equal method, which will compare the two values, right? So hold on, let me just go back. Alright, so other than the equals method, we also have the index of method, right? So this is kind of similar to the substring in the fact that it'll go through and look at specific parts of the string, except it doesn't look at more than one character. It'll only look at one. So say we wanted to get the value of this character here, like the first character. Well, then what we would do is that we would say, if we want to print that out, so it says on the out.print line I dot index of, and then we'll say 1. So what this does is that it'll look through the string and it'll say, okay, let's go to the first character. We have the 0th character. Now the first character, oh, sorry, my bad. So let's say we want to go for H. Yeah. Yeah, so as you can see here, if we put input character here, like a certain string, it will look here, it'll look inside the string we're looking for it for. Sorry, bad English, man. English is my first language and I suck at it. Well, that's crazy. Anyways, yeah, it'll look through this string I, and it'll look for the letter H. And so since it sees the letter H, it'll tell us where the letter H is. It tells us it's at the 0. So we go here, 0, 1, 2. Oh, 0, it's right here. And so this is really good, this method, if you're searching for a particular particular character or letter inside of your code, right? Oh yeah, Spectrum, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to create a meet link. Yeah, and so I'll create a meet link for you, and then someone else will be inside the meet link. So yeah, this will be the, darn it, okay. So this will be the password. I'll put this in the chat. Oh, where's the chat? Here's the chat. So here's the chat. Yeah, and so if you just enter that, someone will be there to help you, okay? Alright, sounds good. Sounds good. Anyways, we'll continue going. And so so the dot index of will basically tell you where the letter is found, right? But what if we try to type in a letter which is not existent inside of the string? What it does is that it'll return us a different value. It'll return us a -1 value here, basically telling us that it's not located there. Oh, hey Heat, what's up? Yeah, so Spectrum, if you're still having trouble, please join the meet call. I put it in the chat. So yeah, just join that and then you'll be able to help. Alright, thanks Heat. I'm going to leave this real quick so there's no reverb, okay? Alright, bye. Alright, that was the lovely Heat Shaw. He's very helpful, really great at coding. He's going to Waterloo in the fall for software engineering. Yeah, he knows his stuff very well, a lot better than me. Okay, so if the character we're looking for is not inside of the word, it'll give us -1. And we can do this with whole words too. So let's say we're looking for the word person in the word hello. Because person is not in hello, it'll give us -1. Alright. But if we try to look for the word he inside of hello, well, then it'll tell us where he is because he is actually located there. Alright, and so now what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to create a program where it will test the word to see if it contains the word hi. Okay, so if the word contains hi, then I want you guys to say this is a hi word. And if it does not contain hi, I want you guys to say that the word does not contain hi, okay? And so we're going to be using this .indexOf method to see if the word is located in it. So remember that if a word is not inside of the string, if we're looking for he, it will give us a value of -1. So that's a hint, okay? That's one hint we can use to make this program. Oh, Spectrum? Yeah, if you're having trouble, I advise you join it right now. Yeah, just join the meet right now, and you'll be able to have your question. You'll be able to get helped a lot faster. All right. Yeah. Okay. So everyone, once you're done this when you're done writing the code for it, just tell me, okay, by typing done in the chat. Create a program where it will look at a word to see if it contains the word hi. Yeah, so if the word does contain hi, I want you guys to print out something like the word contains hi, alright? Alright, so I'll give you guys some time to do that right now. Alright, no one has typed in done yet, so well, I don't expect you guys to be done so quickly, but yeah, I'll just it's okay, we'll just keep waiting. Yeah. Alright, Ali is done. I expected nothing less from Ali. Good job. Alright, Speed Demon. Let's see if everyone else can finish. Remember, it's not about speed, it's about making sure your code works. So if you wrote your code out really quickly and it does work, that's great. But if you just wrote it out quickly and it doesn't work, oh, that sucks. You gotta make it work. Also, Spectrum, once your problem is solved, just type in the chat, okay? Let's see how they're doing right now. Hey guys, everything going okay? Alright, cool. I'm gonna pop out then. Bye. Okay. So I think I'll give everyone. Alright. So Shabnam is done. So I will give everyone. I'll say until 6 p.m. to do it, and then I'll show you guys all the code. But in the meantime, I'm going to get a glass of water. I'll be right back. Oh, okay. Alright. Why is he gone? Oh, let me try. Hey, did they leave? Oh, so they're good now? Alright, there you go, guys. That's how amazing Heat is. How long was that? 5 minutes? Not even. You helped them in less than 5 minutes. It's like speed demon level. See, that's why he's in Waterloo software engineer, guys. Be like Heat. Or see a Heat. Alright. So, you can see how professional and amazing Heat was in solving Spectrum's code case, right? But yeah, hopefully we'll all get to that point one day. But first, we gotta complete this assignment. Why is he gone? Okay, I'll copy and paste the link back. So that you can go into the meeting again if you're still having trouble. Alright, so I just enter that. Oh wait, sorry, wrong link. It should be, let me just delete. So it should be, you should enter this. You should enter this to get help if you have any help. My video is. Yeah, so guys, the meet is still open if anyone does need help. So yeah, just enter that if you do. But I'll give everyone 1 more minute and then I will start showing you guys the solution. Alright, it's 6 p.m. I didn't give everyone another minute, I gave everyone a couple seconds, so I lied, but that's okay. Alright, so I'll show you guys the logic in which we have to determine if using the dot index of method. So we know that the index of method will give us a value of -1 if it does not find the word hi, right? So by using that, we can formulate and say that we can use an if statement and say that if our word dot index of hi is equal to -1, well then we're going to print out the word is not found. So it's we can use this conditional statement, this if statement, and say if well, in our case we'll use the word string I because we have it already defined, but you guys can use any variable name you guys chose. So if I dot index of hi equals -1, right? If it equals -1, it means it's not there. So we'll say if it's not there. This line of code is basically saying if it's not there, guys, because this is the condition, which means, so if this condition is met, then it means that hi is not inside of the string. There is no the string does not contain hi. And else, if there is the word hi, we'll print out the string does contain hi. Now let's give it a run. Oh, we forgot this. So as you can see here, this 0 was just from this statement right here, because it did contain he. But as you can see, our code printed out the string does not contain hi. And that's because it does not contain hi. We made it so, and we use the .indexOf method to basically look and see if there is that word there. There's also some other commands, other methods you can use to check if a certain word is located inside of a string. But this is just one of the many ways you can do so using the .indexOf method. So you just have to remember that if the word is inside of the string, if hi is inside of I, then it'll tell us where hi is. But if it's not, it'll give us -1. And so that's good. So we have to know that if it's not there, it gives us -1, or else we don't know how to tell the how to tell the computer if a hi is actually inside it, right? And so that pretty much does it for today's class. We went over how to insult people online and using our code to basically swap all their uppercase and lowercase with loop. And we also made this little mini program to see if our code contains a certain word, right? And that just about does it today. So I don't have any assignment for you guys this week. I just want you guys to keep practicing. I want you guys to research these other methods that we didn't get to go over. I'll still go over them next week, but it might be a good idea if you learned some, research some this week too. So I'll just type them in the chat. Alright, so yeah, so basically just go over these other methods. For instance, contains, replace first, replace all, because you'll be able to do a lot more interesting stuff with these strings too. But yeah, we finished the class today, and I think we've made lots of great improvement. Yet again, we were able to implement our code into a real life scenario, even if it wasn't like a super crazy use case. We were able to solve a problem and apply it to real life. So that's good. We always want to keep thinking in that mindset. How can we solve real life problems? How can we automate stuff? Alright, and so that is the end of the class. If you do have any other questions, I will send you guys the link one more time, and then you can ask me or Heat any questions in there. But I won't be teaching anymore on the stream today. Yeah, so make sure to come back next week so that we'll continue going over more string stuff and going over other data types. Okay, so darn, where's the? I'll take this. Control C. Control V. So yep, that is the link. So go there if you have any questions, need any help. I'll be there with Heat, but I'm going to end the stream now. Thank you guys for coming and see you next week. Bye.